This Tuesday, millions of Americans receiving Social Security, SSDI, SSI, or VA benefits will wake up to a completely different system. Some will see delays, others might see improvements. And if you don't know which category you fall into, you could be in serious trouble. An executive order has already been signed, and the changes take effect in just days. Over the next 12 minutes, I'm going to break down the 3 phases of changes rolling out, who will be affected most, and the 5 specific actions you need to take this weekend to protect yourself. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to safeguard your benefits and avoid payment delays that could leave you without money for weeks. Welcome to Financial Area, where we cut through the confusion and give you the information you need to protect your financial security. If you depend on government benefits, you can't afford to miss updates like this. Hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss critical information about changes that directly affect your income. Let's start with what this executive order is actually trying to accomplish. According to the official statement, the goal is to modernize benefit delivery systems to reduce processing delays and improve accuracy of payments for vulnerable Americans. Sounds good, right? In plain English, they're saying the current system is outdated and slow, and they want to fix it. Anyone who's ever waited 3 months for a disability decision or had their payment randomly delayed knows this is true. The administration is calling it the Benefits Modernization Initiative, and it affects 4 major programs. We're talking about Social Security retirement and survivor benefits, Social Security disability insurance, that's SSDI, Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, and Veterans Affairs disability compensation. Here's what they identified as the biggest problems with the current system. First, outdated computer systems that sometimes crash. Second, inconsistent processing times between different regional offices. And third, what they call verification bottlenecks, which basically means too much paperwork that slows everything down. Now, let me give you the real numbers because this affects more people than you might think. We're talking about approximately 67 million Americans who receive Social Security benefits. That's retirement, survivor benefits, all of it. Then there are 9 million people getting SSDI, another 7.4 million receiving SSI, and about 5 million veterans with service-connected disability ratings. Add it all up, and you're looking at roughly 90 million Americans whose benefits are touched by this change. If you're a senior collecting Social Security retirement, this affects you. If you're a disabled person getting SSDI or SSI, this affects you. If you're a veteran with a disability rating, this affects you. If you're a widow or widower getting survivor benefits, this affects you. But here's who's going to feel this the most during the transition: people who are currently in the middle of applications or appeals. If you filed for disability in the last 6 months and you're still waiting for a decision, you need to pay very close attention. If you're a veteran who just filed for an increase in your disability rating, this is going to impact your timeline. And if you're managing benefits for disabled children, or you're a single parent receiving survivor benefits, you're going to want to stay extra vigilant about your payments over the next few months. Anyone who recently had a life change, like moving to a new address, getting married, or starting part-time work, you're also in a higher risk category for experiencing delays. Now let's get into the specifics, because this is where it gets complicated. The executive order has 3 main phases, and they're rolling them out between now and next fall. Understanding these phases is critical because each one brings different risks and different opportunities. Phase 1 starts this Tuesday, and this is the part that might cause some short-term pain. They're updating the computer systems that process payments. The official word is that routine payment should not be affected, but they're also warning that complex cases may experience processing delays of 2 to 4 weeks during the transition period. So what does that actually mean for you? If you get the same Social Security or VA payment every month and nothing has changed in your situation, you should be fine. Your payment should come through as usual. But if you recently moved, got married, started part-time work, or had any change in your circumstances, your payment might be delayed while they work out the bugs in the new system. This is the phase where people are most likely to fall through the cracks. System updates always create glitches, and when you're dealing with payment systems that serve tens of millions of people, even a small error rate means thousands of people don't get their money on time. Phase 2 comes in March, and this is when they're supposed to launch what they're calling Unified Benefit Verification. Instead of having to submit the same documents to 3 different offices, you'll be able to upload everything to one central portal. On paper, this actually sounds helpful. You won't have to mail copies of your birth certificate to Social Security, then mail the same birth certificate to the VA, then mail it again for SSI.
But it also means another system change, and that means potentially more delays. Anytime they introduce a new portal or new technology, there's a learning curve, not just for you, but for the employees processing your information. Expect some confusion in March as everyone figures out how the new system works. Phase 3 is scheduled for September, and this is the part that could actually be good news if they deliver on their promises. They're promising faster disability determinations with a goal of reducing average processing times from 8 months to 5 months for initial SSDI applications. Think about that for a second. Right now, if you apply for disability, you're looking at an 8-month wait on average. Some people wait even longer. That's 8 months of not knowing if you'll have income, 8 months of stress, 8 months of uncertainty. Cutting that down to 5 months would be a huge improvement for people who are already struggling. But Phase 3 brings more than just faster decisions. They're creating a single phone number for all benefit questions. Right now, you might have to call 3 different numbers and explain your situation 3 times. The new system is supposed to let one representative access all your information and help you with multiple programs at once. Here's something that's huge for people with disabilities. They're streamlining the medical review process. Instead of having to get new medical records every time you have a continuing disability review, they're going to share information between Social Security and VA medical systems. If you're a veteran with a service-connected disability who also gets SSDI, this could save you months of paperwork and hassle. They're also expanding online services. You'll eventually be able to upload documents, check application status, and even schedule phone appointments online instead of waiting on hold for 2 hours. And here's something that could help a lot of people. They're planning to send text message notifications about payment dates, application updates, and required actions. No more wondering if your mail got lost or if you missed an important deadline. Now, I want to be completely honest with you about what concerns me, because I've been covering government benefit programs long enough to know that good intentions don't always equal smooth implementation. Every single time they update these systems, some people fall through the cracks. Payments get lost in the transition, applications disappear from databases, and it takes weeks to sort out the mess. The people who suffer most are always the ones who can least afford it. People living paycheck to paycheck who can't afford to have their benefits delayed even 1 week. If you're choosing between medication and groceries, a 2-week delay isn't just inconvenient, it's potentially life-threatening. I'm also concerned about the timeline. They're trying to overhaul systems that serve 90 million Americans in less than a year. That's incredibly ambitious. And when government agencies rush these kinds of changes, mistakes happen. Things get overlooked. Problems don't get caught until they're affecting real people with real consequences. The executive order mentions contingency plans for vulnerable populations, but it doesn't spell out what those plans actually are. What happens if a veteran's disability payment doesn't come through because of a system glitch? What happens if an elderly person's Social Security gets held up and they can't pay for their medication? These aren't hypothetical questions. These are real scenarios that happen every time systems change. So here's your action plan, and I want you to do these things this weekend before the changes start Tuesday. This is critical. Don't wait. First, log into your My Social Security account, your VA account, or whatever benefit portal you use, and take screenshots of everything. Your payment history, your current benefit amount, your contact information, your bank account details. Screenshot all of it. If something goes wrong, you'll have proof of what your benefits should be. You'll have documentation showing when you normally get paid and how much you're supposed to receive. Second, make sure your contact information is updated everywhere. If they need to reach you about a problem, you want to make sure they can find you. Check that your phone number is current, your email address is correct, and your mailing address is up to date in every single benefit account you have. Third, if you have direct deposit, double check that your bank account information is correct in all your benefit accounts. A lot of payment delays happen because of outdated banking information. Maybe you changed banks last year and forgot to update it in your VA account. Maybe you closed an old account. Verify everything right now. Fourth, if you're currently in the middle of an application or appeal, call and get a status update this week. Find out exactly where you are in the process and when you should expect to hear something. Get reference numbers for your case. Write down the name of who you spoke with. Document the date and time of the call. Keep a paper trail of everything. And fifth, start building a small emergency fund if you can, even if it's just $20 a week. I know that sounds impossible when you're already struggling, but even $100 can make the difference between keeping your lights on and sitting in the dark if a payment gets delayed. Think of it as insurance against system glitches. Look for small ways to set aside money. Maybe you skip one meal out. Maybe you buy the generic brand instead of name brand for a few weeks. Maybe you sell something you don't need anymore. I'm not saying this to be insensitive. I know money is tight, but having even a tiny cushion could be what gets you through if there's a delay. Now, let's talk about what happens if something does go wrong. First, keep documentation of absolutely everything. Every letter you receive, every phone call you make, every online interaction. Write down dates, times, names, and reference numbers. If your payment doesn't come through, you'll need this information to prove your case. Second, remember that these are earned benefits, not handouts. You've paid into Social Security through your work. Veterans earned their benefits through service. People on disability qualify because of legitimate medical conditions. You have rights, and you deserve to have those rights respected. Don't let anyone make you feel like you're asking for something you don't deserve. If you need to advocate for yourself, know your options. Call your congressional representatives. Their offices have staff specifically dedicated to helping constituents with Social Security and VA issues. And sometimes a call from a congressman's office gets things moving faster than anything else. If you're a veteran, contact veteran service organizations like the VFW, American Legion, or DAV. They have trained representatives who can help navigate VA systems and advocate on your behalf at no cost to you. Reach out to legal aid organizations if necessary. Many areas have free legal services for people dealing with benefit issues. You don't have to fight the bureaucracy alone. And stay informed about emergency assistance programs as backup. If a payment delay puts you in crisis, you need to know where to turn for help. Local food banks, utility assistance programs, emergency rent help. These resources exist for exactly this kind of situation. Over the next few months, I'll be following this story closely and breaking down every update, every delay, and every improvement as they happen. You'll want to stay subscribed so you don't miss critical information about how these changes are actually playing out in real time. Let me be clear about something. The next few months are probably going to be bumpy. When you're dealing with systems that affect this many people, there are always going to be problems during transitions. That's just reality. But I also want you to remember that the current system is already broken for too many people. People wait months for disability decisions that should take weeks. Veterans get stuck in bureaucratic nightmares trying to get benefits they earned through service. Seniors deal with confusing, outdated systems that make simple tasks unnecessarily complicated. So doing nothing wasn't really an option either. The changes they're making should eventually lead to faster processing, fewer delays, and less bureaucratic runaround. If they actually deliver on these promises, applying for benefits in 2026 could be a completely different experience than it is today. Will there be problems along the way? Absolutely, but the potential for improvement is real. Here's what I want you to remember above everything else. You're not alone in this. Whether you're a veteran waiting for a rating decision, a single parent applying for disability, or a senior trying to navigate these systems, there are people who care about what happens to you. There are resources available. There are organizations that exist specifically to help. Keep checking your accounts regularly. Keep documenting everything. Don't be afraid to speak up if something goes wrong. You matter, and your financial security matters. If you found this information helpful, hit that like button and subscribe to Financial Area. We're going to be covering every development in this story as it unfolds. And check out our video about emergency assistance programs. I'll link it in the description. If these changes do cause payment delays, you want to know what other resources are available to you to help you get through. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. We'll see you in the next video.